Week 9 preview up next on Fantasy Baseball Today Express. Welcome into FPT Express on Saturday, May 16th. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White. Let's begin with the Week 9 schedule. We have 18 teams with 6 games. We have 12 teams with 7 games. That includes the D-backs, Braves, Guardians, Rockies, Tigers, Angels, Marlins, Mets, Yankees, Athletics, Blue Jays, and Nationals. I should have looked this up beforehand, Scott. Do you know off the top of your head what the Rockies' schedule is for next week?
First 3 games at home, last 4 on the road.
So we get yet another split week.
Yeah.
All right. Let's jump into the 2-star pitchers. Starter sit. Some of these fringe names. MacKenzie Gore, coming off one of his best starts of the season, at the Rockies, at the Angels.
That is a volatile pair of matchups, isn't it? Boom or bust. The Rockies tend to be awful. They're actually rated pretty well offensively this year, like middle of the pack and runs scored. But I still don't see them as being a good offensive team in the long run. And but it's in Coors Field, and makes it dangerous. And then the Angels, very strikeout prone, but also tend to score a lot of runs. So I'm leaning yes, just because of the way Gore looked in his last start. But it's not a must.
What about Sonny Gray? It's been a weird season for Sonny Gray. He's coming off a quality start. He's at the Royals and home against the Twins.
Yeah, his most recent start was better. He threw a sweeper more, which hasn't played as well this year, but it's been the key to his success in the past. So I'm hoping he's trending the right direction. I think these matchups are pretty good, Royals and Twins. So I lean yes on Gray as well.
Nick Lodolo has been quite bad in his first 2 starts. He is at the Phillies and home against the Cardinals.
I think I'd save him for points leagues. I like those matchups, and I think he's going to be fine in the long run, but it just feels too risky in leagues where you have to guard ratios.
Seth Lugo has been receiving a lot of regression lately. He is home against the Red Sox and the Mariners next week.
Yeah, I think that's just a points league thing too.
Trevor Rogers has struggled quite a bit over his last 3 or 4 starts. Didn't look good in his return from the IL. He's at Tampa Bay and home against the Tigers.
Yeah, I feel pretty optimistic he'll turn it around. And I think volume is a big enough selling point that you could start Trevor Rogers in a points league still, but absolutely not in categories.
What about Noah Schultz at the Mariners at the Giants?
I'm saying no to him. The matchups are pretty good, and I think he's pretty talented, but just doesn't seem like he's quite there with the walks and everything.
All right. We also have J.R. Ritchie. I never know if he's actually going to make 2 starts or not, Scott. Yeah. He's at the Marlins and home against the Nationals.
I think I'd pass. He just hasn't been... few of his starts have been usable.
Christian Scott, I think, is doing some interesting things. He had that first start where he just could not throw strikes at all. The next 3 starts after that, he's looked a little bit better. He's at the Nationals and at the Marlins.
I think I'm going to pass on him too. Even the good starts, giving up some base runners, they've been short. So I probably avoid Scott still.
All right. Who are some 2-start streamers that you were looking to add and use for week number 9?
Love Ryne Nelson this week. I think he had the black sheep start earlier this year. I think it was like 8 runs in 2/3 of an inning or something like that. And it was followed up by that start in Mexico City where a fly ball pitcher like him just has no chance. So I think it kind of put him in a bad spot in fantasy, and we saw his roster rate crater. But he's looked like Ryne Nelson since then. And his matchups are the Giants, worst offense in baseball, and the Rockies away from Coors Field, which might actually be the worst offense in baseball. It's one of the worst ones anyway. So yeah, I really like Ryne Nelson. Also, let's give Walbert Arena a shot here. Only 11% rostered, and a great ground ball rate, pretty good bat missing skills with a great changeup. Outings have run short, but he gets 2 of them this week. Athletics and Rangers are some solid matchups there. Reed Detmers, he seems to wind up on this list every week, but he's making 2 starts. Same matchups, Athletics and Rangers. I do like the bat missing skills. I think he's underachieved, and things will get better, hopefully. Zach Gallen, not confident things will get better, but he has those same great matchups Ryne Nelson does. Giants and Rockies in Arizona. So I think that makes him streamable, at least in points leagues. Zach Gallen. Andrew Painter, we saw him lean on that secondary arsenal a little more in his most recent start and get a pretty good result. He also has favorable matchups here, Reds and Guardians. And then finally, Foster Griffin. He had a meltdown kind of start, probably inevitable, was due for one on Thursday. But I still like a lot of what he's doing. Pretty good K rates for a guy who gives up very weak contact. And he lines up for 2 starts. I wish the second one wasn't against the Braves. The first one's against the Mets, so we like that one. Second one's against the Braves, but he did have a start earlier this year against the Braves, Foster Griffin, and it was a quality start. So hopefully in points leagues, he'll pay off.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back right after this.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ hits every highlight from all the sports that matter to you.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, streaming free 24/7.
Welcome back in, FBT Express, helping you get your lineup set for Week 9. Scott, who are some one-start streamers on the pitching side that you like for this upcoming week?
Andrew Abbott seems to have righted the ship. He's at Philadelphia. They remain a pretty good matchup. Cade Cavalli is against the Mets. They remain a great matchup. In fact, he's one of the teams that, with one of his double-digit strikeout games, came against the Mets earlier this year. So hopefully Cavalli could do it again. Bailey Ober, getting kind of risky here. It's not a great week for streaming pitchers, to be honest, but Ober is coming off the complete game shutout. I don't have a ton of confidence in his actual skill set, and he's at Boston, a fly ball pitcher at Boston. That could spell trouble, but he did just throw a shutout last time. So, I'm going to cautiously recommend him because I have to recommend a certain number of names. Eduardo Rodriguez, been pitching well lately. Don't really buy into it, but against the Rockies away from Coors Field. So that's a favorable enough matchup that maybe you roll the dice on Eduardo Rodriguez.
All right, let's slide over to the hitters. The best matchups for next week. We have the Braves, Athletics, D-backs, Mariners, and Angels. The worst hitter matchups, Royals, Dodgers, Marlins, Blue Jays, and Rays. Who are your favorite sleeper hitters for Week 9?
Daylen Lile has been hot. He's over 3 points per game this year in points leagues, actually, which surprised me. That's a very good point per game average. Wish he was running more for Roto, but as hot as he is, some pretty favorable matchups here against the Mets pitching staff and the Braves pitching staff. He does face the ace of both teams, but a lot of the back end guys too. So I like the matchups enough that Lyle, as hot as he is, let's go for it. Also, JJ Bleday, very hot. And the matchups aren't prohibitive. That's good enough, as hot as Bleday is with that 3 mile per hour increase on his average swing speed. AJ Ewing has come up and looks like a nice spark plug player for the Mets. Already has a triple, already has a home run. Again, pretty favorable matchups here. Not top 5, but they do face the Nationals pitching staff for 4 games. The Mets do. Nolan Arenado has been surprisingly hot lately. May not be done yet, and the Diamondbacks do have the 3rd best hitter matchups. Carlos Cortez, the Athletics have the 2nd best hitter matchups, and only 1 lefty on the schedule, so we should see a lot of Cortez, whose percentages are still laughably good, even though it feels like he's kind of disappeared for fantasy. Hopefully he comes surging back. Mauricio Dubon, very versatile player. Braves have the best hitter matchups. I think he is the best choice on the waiver wire to take advantage of those. Jorge Soler. Angels having the 5th best hitter matchups, and they're at home all week, which is a good place to hit, and Soler's splits are better there than on the road. Ryan Waldschmidt. Kind of a modest start to his career, but he's playing every day, and the Diamondbacks have the 3rd best hitter matchups. Ezekiel Duran has been hot for the Rangers. You can start him just about anywhere. They do have favorable matchups. Part of the reasons Duran is this low is because there are 3 lefties on the schedule. And even though he's a right-handed hitter, he has historically performed much better against right-handed pitchers. But countering that, the Rangers are the team visiting Coors Field this week. So I think there are enough positives there for Duran to go ahead and include him, even with the lefties on the schedule. And finally, Mike Yastrzemski. Again, the Braves have the best hitter matchups, 5 righties. He only plays against righties. And he's shown very faint signs of life here recently. He had a big homer, I believe it was Tuesday or Wednesday, and can take advantage of those favorable matchups. Only 6% rostered. So if you're desperate for outfield help, not a bad week to try out Yastrzemski.
All right, for more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to our full-length podcast, Fantasy Baseball Today, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today Express, and we'll be back again next week. Bye-bye.